Syfy gets happy again, Shudder gets a new familiar GM, and Ash versus partying? All that and more on this week's Horror TV Weekly.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Stuck in the middle with you. When you started out with nothing and
This song was actually part of my interpretive dance for my criminal investigation class in high school. We had a forensics club, and I was the vice president of it. But yeah, like I did an interpretive dance, and this was my murder scene. Was this song. And if you've seen Happy or at least Reservoir Dogs, you know why. Because this song is all about cutting off cops' ears or imaginary sock folks. But enough about that, guys. I'm your host, Lacretia Lyon. You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. But I am not alone. I have my lovely co-host with me today.
Hey y'all, this is Chauncey K. Robinson, and you can find me at Miss Chauncey KR on Twitter.
All right, well, we have a buttload of news to get into, so let's just get into it. The AMC Networks actually named the new GM for the video on demand service Shudder, and also TV on demand. Shudder does it all, guys, and it's Craig Engler, the co-creator of Z Nation.
Yay!
Yeah, so this is good. We've got a guy who actually knows what he's doing at the helm, which is always great when you're dealing with something like Shudder that's a new sort of thing. I mean, it's an app where you can get horror movies and TV shows on demand, and they tend to focus on shows that are available in other countries. That's why I'm shocked that we haven't seen Outcast Season 2 pop up on Shudder, but who knows? Maybe they're working on it.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting because, I mean, I have a Shudder subscription, and one of the things is that it has a lot of old school movies, it has a lot of indie stuff, a lot of, Sundance things, but to get a few more of the series would be really nice, which is what they're saying they may expand into, which would be really awesome to see a little bit more of that, because people love horror TV, so
Yeah.
it's like, to have something that you can kind of stick with would be cool.
Well, because too, when, we'll get into Ash a little bit later, more in depth, but, Starz has some issues in certain parts of this country right now. They're still working on that deal for the tri-state area, and, so there's a lot of places that don't necessarily get stuff like Ash versus Evil Dead or Stand Against Evil, which is on IFC. There are certain shows that are really big in this genre that people don't have access to. As I brought up, Outcast Season 2 was never released in the U.S. Now, Cinemax has claimed they're going to release it this summer, but that's been a whole year since it was supposed to be out.
Yeah.
And, with apps like Shudder now having someone like Craig at the helm, maybe we're going to get more series and maybe possible original content.
No, that would be really cool. The original content as well with, with the series aspect of it. And, what we're saying with Ash versus, Evil Dead is that sometimes they get held in this litigation of, cable networks and whatnot. And if you have something on streaming, you don't necessarily have to worry about that because, people are paying for it. They know it's going to be there. So I think it has potential for growth as well. Because I think one of the things with this kind of change that they're doing is to kind of expand a bit more, even though, I mean, it's still a niche of horror, but probably, different types in a way as well, so.
Yeah, because that's the thing is there's so many different types of horror. It's got subgenres like supernatural more, and then slasher, and then you have, your thrillers like straight up, or, and so that's the thing is I feel like they tend to be a little abundant on more of like the classic slasher type stuff. So I'm glad that they're looking at getting a little bit more diverse content.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to come up with. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be great if Z Nation is any indication. So, yeah.
Yeah, and too, speaking of great shows, and we talk a lot about Ash, Ash has another parenting video out. I love these Who's Your Daddy videos, and Ash vs. Evil Dead comes out February 25th, guys, and we will be doing the after show here at AfterBuzz TV. But yeah, I've got a little video here to show, which is Ash teaching...
Gonna need a minute.
Okay, all right, guys. While we're queuing that up a little bit, we'll talk a little bit about the Charmed reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some people.
The controversy around the Charmed.
I know, because we talked about this last week. I figured
Yeah.
we'd bring it back because Shannon Doherty, of all people, who is known for being a bit difficult,
Yeah.
which I love her.
I love Shannon
yeah.
Doherty. I've loved her since 90210. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, she was. Mallrats is my favorite movie. She was actually my favorite on Charmed. So I had kind of quit watching a little bit when she left.
Same. I always
yeah.
know when she's gonna be on the show to catch it in the first season because she won't be there by the second. And I love her, but I'll say that
At least on
by
Charmed,
then-
she went a few more seasons. But yeah, it was okay. She was more positive. She still took issue with the feminist comment, which everybody has, because it's seriously, WTF? Why would you say a show that was about three sisters at all times being strong, being powerful is not feminist? I guess you don't. They're just doing clickbait, which is crap. Anyway, but Shannon Doherty's look, it's giving more women jobs. Let's keep an open mind, and I like that. Yeah.
No, I like that too, and I think that's kind of what we said last week. Where I was saying, I was I don't particularly care for the fact that they're the feminist thing. It's well, it was feminist before, but I'll still watch because it's not necessarily there's ill intentions with it. It's going to be, there's a chance this might be actually a very good show. It's just, I think it may have started off on the wrong footing given the history of the cast. There was even more controversy today with Rose McGowan and, Alyssa Milano and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of weird blood with the previous cast, and so with that, we're kind of, now that the reboot may be coming on, we're kind of getting all of that at once, which may be a little bit of a cloud over what could be a potentially good show.
Yeah, and that is the thing, is I just wish that they'd change the name, since that seems to be everyone's issue more than anything, because it's not really a reboot. There's actually nothing other than the name and the fact that it's about witches that has to do with the original show.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll take the hint, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm gonna look forward to it because I'm tired of vampire shows, so it'd be nice to have another witch show.
Yeah.
We have Sabrina coming out,
yeah.
but that's a little bit more dark. And I'm guessing, as long as we don't hear Charmed high school style, we don't need.
Yeah, I don't want another high school show.
It'd be nice because with the original Charmed, they were grown women, they were past college, and that was nice too, that you don't always see that. And it's kind of interesting because if it does come on the CW, they do tend to do youngish type shows. So I do wonder what's going to be the setting. Is it going to be high school? Is it going to be college, which, is kind of overdone too. Sabrina Teenage Witch is already doing that. So, I'm going to go with Shannon with this one, per usual. I usually always take her side.
Yeah.
And even though when I figure out she might have been wrong. It's I think I'm going to give it a chance, although it's the marketing for it could have been done better.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. And who knows, maybe they'll actually listen to people that we're interested in giving the show a chance, but maybe not call it Charmed. But yeah,
they have to call it that.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with all the reboots. Most of these reboots are just
the name,
Yeah.
Roseanne, Will and Grace, so even X-Files, which was more of a continuation, but it was still
yeah.
Who's to say? Well, this show is definitely a reboot, but whatever. Because it's based off the movie and is in continuity with all the movies now. But we've got our Ash versus parting video right here for you guys. Give a little parenting advice.
Papa Ash here. Let me tell you, folks, kids and parties go together like hookers and hand jobs. They booze, they smoke, they get high, they screw. How do you handle this? Simple. You tag along. Why the hell should they have all the fun? Hey, kid.
That's what my
mix up a
parents
new
did.
batch of pink fucker, you're grounded. Papa's getting wasted tonight. Whoa!
I love that he brought up Pink Fuck, which was a drink invented by him and Ted Raimi's character.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Well,
How many of those are there?
Those little parenting
the
videos.
vignettes,
I think there's been 3 of them so far. Yeah, it's
cute.
funny. Yeah. I'm it's a cute little thing because Ash, has found out he's a father, not to Kelly, which still frustrates me, but whatever.
Yeah. Art Master Austin is saying Papa Ash is home. Hashtag. That's what's up.
Yeah, I like how they had the ashy slashy, painted on the wall. I love that. I actually have a little box from Stars that when I open it up, it says that, and
That's
it's
cute.
awesome. But yeah, speaking of things that are awesome, and it's sort of related, they call them zombies on here, even though they're all just deadites to me. But yeah, iZombie Season 4 has their first teaser photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it because, I mean, I think iZombie is a show where it took I mean, I love when a show like subverts the genre in the sense of this is a zombie show, but this particular season, what they're doing, it's like spoiler alert, zombies are out in the open for Season 4, pretty much. And they're all in Seattle, it seems, which I guess kind of makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, because Z Nation's in Seattle.
Yeah.
and all-
So,
yeah.
and they're all in Seattle, and there's this battle going on with them and it's not like, oh, everyone's crouching down in basements and everything. It's very political what's happening. It's like, are you on the side of the zombies? Or are you on the side of the humans? And the humans are being, like, Seattle's being quarantined, basically. And what's happening is that the humans can't get out, and there's this question if the government's going to just bomb all of Seattle to get rid of the zombies, or if
Yeah.
zombies have rights.
Well, and if they bomb all of Seattle, you know that British Columbia is just going to be way too high to do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, that's immediately where my mind went.
Like, what about? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like iZombie is a show that I have yet to really like watch a lot of, but I love Rob Thomas and I love the concept, and it's got such a good cast. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll catch up before the
No,
show
yeah,
premieres.
it's a
I'm like,
quality show, and I think it's coming out at the end of February. That's when it comes back. Yeah, it's a really fun show. It's on its 4th season. I think one of the things I had read was that they're shortening the seasons to get more for your buck with each episode, which a lot of shows are doing. And I think that's going to be good for it, as opposed to, some shows, they get to the 4th season, they kind of lag off. So now they're kind of twisting it all around for this 4th season.
Yeah, that's me. I honestly prefer shows that are more 10 to 13 episodes as opposed to the full 22. While I enjoy like 22 episodes of Arrow and stuff like that, that's why you'll have like an off episode, is because there's like definitely has to be filler when you're doing that many.
Yeah, it becomes a lot of filler after
Yeah.
a bit with 22 episodes. I think we talked about it before, that the 22 episode or 23 episode thing tends to stay because of advertisements or whatnot, or needing to fill a quota or something. But I don't think in this day and age, especially when people do get bored and they don't want filler, and you have Netflix and all of that where you can, binge something in 10 episodes, this is the wave of the future, probably.
Yeah,
I
and that's
also
what
want
I
to jump
like.
in here
Yeah.
because I haven't watched Season 3 of iZombie yet, but we actually had Steven Weber in here for I Blame Dennis Hopper, which is a podcast and show on the Popcorn Talk Network. And if you guys watched iZombie, he was the head of the Energy Drink Corporation from Season 2 and was amazing. He's such a cool dude. So if you guys want to check that out on popcorntalk.com, it's really cool because Steven Weber is definitely an interesting guy.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
really cool because Steven Weber was the lead in The Shining, the television reboot,
Yeah.
which a lot of people really like more sometimes than the Kubrick version, which I disagree, even though I enjoy it, because it's a little bit more closely in line with the book.
It's
But-
what Stephen King wanted. He didn't
Yeah.
like the Jack Nicholson one.
Yeah, and that's why like Stephen King himself enjoys Steven Weber's
Yeah.
performance a little bit more because it's more in line with who he thought Jack
Yeah.
Torrance was, which is cool. And yeah, like so Steven Weber is actually a pretty big part of the horror community, and he'll be at Texas Frightmare Weekend as with us guys for Cinco de Mayo. You might see us in a rainbow sombrero. It is something that happens at Texas Frightmare Weekend. But yeah, so
Fun.
that'll be cool. Maybe we can talk to Steven Weber about iZombie. But yeah, like speaking of more zombies, Evan Gamble joins Fear the Walking Dead in the already very like big cast this season. Now I'm
Yeah.
super excited about Garrett Dillahunt, who's one of my favorite actors. He'll be a villain, but then you also have like Jenna Elfman and God, there's just Maggie Grace, I think, is going to be
Yep.
on this season. You have a huge cast already, so I'm like, where are they going
And
to fit in?
Morgan from The Walking Dead.
Yes, like Lenny
is
James
heading
is doing it.
there,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to still wrap my head around how this is gonna work.
Well, because too, it's like, how's he gonna get from? They're still like in Alexandria, and you're
Exactly.
like, how's he gonna get all the way to Los Angeles, where Fear the Walking Dead is, and now they've kind of gone into Mexico, so it's like. That can't be an easy feat because I would assume that planes are not really being in use.
No. And I think, I mean, from my understanding, Fear of the Walking Dead is like 5 months or so before. Like, they're not on the same timeline necessarily. At least that's when it first started. It wasn't on the same timeline. So it's also trying to figure out that with Morgan as well. But it seems like, I mean, they're kind of upping the ante when it comes to this show with the new characters, the new big villain, and everything, trying to grab a little bit more of the attention. Because like we talked about before, The Walking Dead has been having a little bit of a rating slump. So, I mean, Fear of the Walking Dead was never on the same numbers as that. So maybe they're trying to preempt.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I'm someone who hasn't really watched Fear the Walking Dead, mostly because I'm very angry because I used to have a stand-up joke about how you couldn't do a Walking Dead in Los Angeles because nobody would know what to do. Like, we don't have survivalist skills here, unlike, you know, in Atlanta or like more where I'm from, like the South. So I was bittered about that, but then they knew. Put one of my favorite actors in it and I'll watch this. Yeah.
No, I mean, it definitely has a fan base. I know some people weren't totally like happy with it. They think it moves a little slow, but considering the timeline and everything, it makes sense. And I think now it's starting to find its pace after a few seasons to get to that point where we're having the big villain, where, you know, characters are being more established, fan favorites are coming. And with this question of Morgan coming in, I think that'll be really fun as well. Because Morgan's a great character. He can be polarizing. You know, when he was on that whole no violence shtick, and it was just like, really? But
yeah, like I always enjoyed Morgan. I mean, Lenny James is such a good actor, and then you have those scenes where I liked that part of Morgan, where he was about nonviolence and stuff like that, and like the journey that we saw with his character that, you know, you don't get to see in the comics. So it's interesting to see how this is explored.
Yeah. I mean, a little sad because I kind of ship Morgan and Carol, you know, Carol.
Yeah.
I know you Carol and Daryl shippers are not going to like that, but like I would kind of
Yeah, they
wanted
had
that.
nice chemistry.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. They did have nice chemistry. So.
And you know, Carol will get her game on with anybody. That's what I like about Carol, is she's just like, yeah, whatever.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and with Fear the Walking Dead, I like their little shorts that they do in between The Walking Dead, because it featured some of my favorite actors. Kathleen Gotti, who's a friend of AfterBuzz, she was in the first one that was nominated for a lot of awards, and then this last year it was Michael Mosley, who's an actor I really love. So it's really cool. I kind of wish they would incorporate more of those characters.
Yeah, and it's really
like,
cool when they create this universe around that goes beyond just what you see in that 60 minutes. And this is, I mean, this is kind of the new age of how content is being connected, right? Like you have the webisodes, you have those in-betweens that kind of, it goes beyond the 45 minutes, which is great and really immerses the audience, which is good.
Yeah. You know, and actually we've, Art Master Austin Prophet in the chat brings up a cool idea for a show. And, you know, I love, you know, when people throw out their ideas, like, you know, my Law and Order cast. But yeah, like he's like, they could do a prequel series with Jason's mother and her son, kind of like Bates Motel. Like, and actually Camp Crystal Lake has been toyed around being a show. Like, because I actually know people who were involved with Sean S. Cunningham and like wrote the pilot, hoping that they would do a Friday the 13th series, but it's been shelved for now. But every once in a while I do see it kind of pop back up, and being that we've got this resurgence of horror, I thought it was a good thing to bring up. That,
with Jason and their mother?
Like, that's what he's hoping, but that was not the Camp Crystal Lake idea, but that might be something they should consider.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had Bates Motel, but yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, you know,
which was an awesome show.
Yeah, that was so good.
Rihanna was on there. I mean,
yeah. I mean, she was the Janet Leigh character.
Like, I was like, this show is like, I love that the showrunners and stuff was willing to take those chances. You just knew it was such a creative team. So.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing, is like such a stellar cast with Vera Farmiga and Freddie Highmore, and often didn't get a lot of like praise just because it was on like a cable network that people didn't really watch. But
there's that bias there. Yeah. I mean, I know that's the same thing with The Walking Dead, where people are like, it needs to get more like, you know, awards and stuff. I mean, with what Andrew Lincoln and all of them do in terms of their acting, and they don't get that recognition as much.
Well, I mean, I'll just say it. Awards are kind of BS. Like, they're usually you know, there's a certain class. I mean, there's a reason that Gary Oldman hopefully will win his first Oscar, but he's the greatest actor of all time, y'all. Is because they don't always give it to people that are that good, like, or like stuff that people actually watch. I believe I was watching The Real once, and they're like, you know, we don't watch any of these movies. We watch like Fast and the Furious. Why are these movies not nominated for Oscars?
Well, it's the
Like,
same thing with horror that we're seeing now with Get Out and other ones. And, you know, just horror shows getting this kind of treatment of more seriousness and legitimizing it. I think we'll see that a bit more, but it's been a long time coming because it doesn't get that kind of recognition. I mean, there's no way like a zombie show at times will get that, you know, even though Walking Dead and even Fear the Walking Dead has so many poignant characters that, you know, there's some really great acting scenes, but people would think, oh, zombie show, someone's eating brains. This can't be, you know.
Well, the Academy tends to think they're a little highbrow. I mean, they're okay with protecting rapists, but they're not okay with giving, you know, stuff where actual actors are doing good work just because it's got a zombie in it or something. It's like most zombie shows are actually metaphors, guys.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about the horror genre in general. I mean, you know, Night of the Living Dead. That was a whole thing about feminism and racism and things like that.
Yeah, George Romero was beautiful as far as his symbolism. I mean, like, hello, Dawn of the Dead is all about consumerism. Everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, horror has a long history in being more in depth, and same thing with the TV shows of horror, but they don't get that kind of recognition. So.
But, as I say, these awards don't matter. These people don't even seem to know what people watch or like, just you guys. But, yeah, like, speaking of shows that we like and things I love to see, I'm all about cannibals. And I'm glad we finally got another cannibal show with Channel Zero's this year's Butcher Block. We've got some exclusive photos that were on the Syfy wire here, guys. And they just look really creepy. That's what I like about this Channel Zero that's coming up. And, of course, Rutger Hauer, speaking of good, like, actors who never get that much recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the fence a little bit about the plot line. I'm not a big fan of cannibalism. I like Lacretia.
Oh, no, I love cannibals.
I mean, the first 2 seasons of Channel Zero were my jam. Like, I loved the one about the children's show. I love creepy more than I love, I don't want to say gross, but I like creepy more than I like blood splattering type horror. So those 2 were more my jam in terms of like the Nowhere House. And this one, it's a bit more graphic. I even saw a little bit, I think we showed like the teaser trailer some time ago, and I think they were like cutting out someone's tongue. And I was like, all right. So.
Yeah, I love that it's like a Southern family and they're like more like upper crust because usually like the cannibals are always like the poor. Yeah. And I'm like, that's offensive, guys. You know that rich people eat. And like Gotham sort of did that this year with a lot of like the rich eating the poor. Like, so this is interesting how we're seeing that in other shows as well. So it's a good time to come out with this Butcher's Block.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially the metaphor of the rich eating the poor. Or the rich eating.
Because as we say, like we're talking about horror's always using metaphor.
Exactly. And this is definitely going to be one. That's why, because of the first 2 seasons and just knowing how in depth these stories tend to go, I definitely know that it's going to be more than just, you know, someone getting cut up and hung, you know, by hooks or something, by like meat, which would be fine for visuals, horror visuals, it's fine. But that I think it'll be deeper than that, just given like what you were saying about the fact that the cannibals are clearly this well-to-do family. So
yeah, and that's what I like is like, you know, as we say, it's going back into metaphor and sort of showing something that we haven't really seen until like you see like the Professor Pig stuff with Gotham and things like that. So it's interesting to see them kind of go into that. But speaking of shows coming out that I'm just like in love with, Hulu has another trailer for Castle Rock, and it's been a while since we saw one. Yeah,
this looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah, like I'm always a big fan of Stephen King stories, and I was not as familiar with like what was going on with this. But yeah, we've got the trailer here for you guys that they just released. And we'll be able to play it here soon. But yeah, like I was very intrigued by this. And I love Bill Skarsgård's in it. Like, even though I think his brother is like the hottest dude in the world, Bill is like such a good actor.
He's a really good actor. He's a very subtle actor, and it really works, especially from what I've seen of the trailer. And this show is supposed to have a lot of the, I don't want to call it tropes, because sometimes when you say tropes, it kind of has a negative connotation to it, but definitely has all of the Stephen King tropes in it. The angry dog stuff going on, like Cujo, the Shawshank Redemption, the prisoner, something weird's going on in the town, some childhood trauma. So it's all of the things you love or kind of are creeped out about Stephen King, and it's going to be in this show, it seems. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it seems like it's a big compilation of like his work more so than one particular story. Because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Stephen King has so many things, so you're like, okay, well, then is this something I missed? But yeah, as you say, all the little nods to like It and Cujo, and you know, I did actually know Dee Wallace, so I'm like, maybe we can get her. Maybe she makes a cameo. We can get
Yeah,
her
that'd
in
be
here.
awesome.
Hey guys, which video do you want me to play? Sorry, I was working off an old rundown.
Yeah, like it's the Castle Rock trailer.
Cool, got it right here for
Cool.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry
Really
about that.
creepy.
I know, like it
We're
just
pretty
came
sure
out
we're-
today, so I had to send it in later.
Call from Shawshank. Call from
Of
who?
course, Shawshank,
Don't know yet.
another Stephen King movie. And his James Franco 1123 show was really good. That was shot in Dallas.
I think that something terrible is going to happen. It's happening.
Of course, Sissy Spacek. Like that's why I was like, oh, he's got to have like a lot of good cameos from his other big stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this all it looks really good, and it seems as though Stephen King is giving Hulu his series and Netflix his movies. That's
Yeah.
what I'm feeling. I feel like he decided you'll get my movies and you'll get my series, which I'm a little sad because I don't have a Hulu subscription,
Oh.
so I don't know how I'm gonna watch it.
Hulu is well worth it. As I say, I honestly like Hulu better than Netflix because I'm more of a
Okay.
TV person, and like that's the thing is like
Netflix has a
yeah.
lot of series.
Yeah,
too.
they have
They're
a lot
getting
of
better.
series, but they've like lost a lot of them to Hulu
Yeah.
because they didn't feel like that was their audience. Like, and I have both, but you know, to each his own. But I highly recommend Hulu if you guys don't have it because they have great series like this and Marvel's Runaways. Like, there's so many, and like the 11/23/63.
Yeah.
I mean, such a good show. Yeah.
And J.J. Abrams is also a part of this.
Exactly,
part
yeah.
of this project, so you know it's going to be good. I love him too. So I think it's going to be really. It looks like it's going to be really quality, and it's one of those things where it's such a mystery. You don't know what's happening. You just know once again because it's Stephen King. There's probably something going on with the town. And all the different characters. And I think also what I love about it is that the headlining character, and Stephen King has a tendency to do this in his stuff, and he doesn't get a lot of credit for it. But he tends to have it so that if we're talking about like representation in horror, he tends to have it so there's always a very important character that happens to be of color,
Yeah.
usually African American character. I mean, even in The Shining, and that was one of the reasons why he didn't particularly care for the first movie because the black character was supposed to be more central to it, and he wasn't. And that was one of the things he highlighted. And it's really cool with this one, Castle Rock, where it seems like the main character, one of the main characters, is a black lead, which is cool.
Yeah, Stephen King has always made it a point to have diversity, whether it be,
Yeah.
you know, female leads or leads of color and stuff like that in all of his books. And as you say, sometimes the movies and television shows depicted from these things didn't always have that. And yeah, as I say, if you haven't seen The Shining that he prefers that was a TV version with Steven Weber, guys, be sure to watch that. Because I know some people crap on like a lot of Stephen King stuff, especially in the 80s. Like, but you know what? I find most of them very enjoyable.
I do too. I mean, I love Stephen King, and I mean, the It miniseries
Yeah.
movies was like one of my favorites, maybe
Oh, I
more
love
so
that.
than the new one that came out. To be honest with you, but it's one of those things where he knows how to build characters. It's not always like jump out fear, and we see that with Castle Rock. It's not necessarily jump out fear. It's more like there's something going on here. It plays on he plays on your senses. That was the thing about It too, the original It that I loved, and we see this with Castle Rock here, is that it's not so much out and out, you know, I'm a clown or whatever.
No.
It's more like it's playing on what could it be. So that's I find that more interesting than blood and gore.
Yeah,
So-
and that's the thing is Stephen King, most of his novels are just sort of like more of a build to like this possible evil rather than just in your face. Like, because I really love Dreamcatcher. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
hate that movie. I'm like, I loved it. I love the symbolism with the thoughts in your head and the filing cabinets and all that. I thought that was just a great film. And but yeah, that's why I say Stephen King's got a good, you know, library of stuff, whether it's the books or the movies or television.
Yeah, well, maybe somehow, some way, I will figure out how to watch Castle Rock, and since
Yeah.
you will watch it, we could just recap
Yeah.
it a little bit.
Might as well, right? But yeah, speaking of highlighting women and people of color, it is
Yes.
Black History Month as well as Women in Horror Month.
Yes.
So to celebrate Black History Month, we wanted to play a clip from our interview with Maria Van Peebles, where we talk about the new horror genre.
Top that bee off. Bee gonna fly away.
You know, one of the things I was wondering is, you know, we've had like Get Out happening and everything. Like, why did this genre in particular like jump out to you? The whole superstition supernatural thing. I mean, we're seeing this kind of renaissance or like this like reemergence of Black horror and things of that nature, and now superstition is a part of that.
Right. It's interesting how these things time out. Actually, it wasn't, my first inclination. Although I like the horror thriller space, and I have, in fact, a movie coming out that is a thriller. Comes out, I think, sometime in April called Armed, which I'll tell you about later.
Cool.
But what happened was Justin and Chris were at the Syfy Network, and they said, we've got a big audience of a multi-culti audience, but not a multi-culti representation on camera of folks of color and different colors in this space. And I've always been interested in my family. We got every flavor. We got white, black, straight, gay. So when I paint with all the colors. When I cast, New Jack City, I put in an Asian cop, my Jewish cop, my brother cop, and then I played, the one of the police commissioner. So I always mix it up. When I did Posse, I put in Little J, who's white. I know because he's a Baldwin. You had to pay him a little more. But what I like it, there's always a Baldwin for your budget, depending on where your budget.
Sorry, I love that part. He's like Baldwin for your budget.
Yeah, Alec.
Yeah.
You gotta go down. Who can you afford?
Yeah, and that was such a good interview. Hopefully you guys will check all of that out later, because he does talk about Armed and what that's about, and then he decided to take your woke horror idea.
Woke horror, yes.
And say
he can have it. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's for everybody. Woke horror is for everyone.
Yeah, that's the new genre that we have.
It is,
like
and
with
it's
Get
really
Out.
cool.
Yeah.
And it can still be quality when when a show is woke, like Superstition, which people should catch up on.
Yeah, it's so good.
They just had their season finale a couple weeks ago. It's one of those things where, and with Black History Month, where you can highlight the fact of Get Out and others, where it's saying this representation it's quality. It shows a different narrative, and it doesn't have to be a slave narrative or something like that. It can be modernized and still horror.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is there are plenty of stuff that is pretty scary nowadays anyway. I mean, like, The Purge pretty well predicted what we have going on now.
Well, with
like,
The Purge,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, speaking of depressing things, but let's go back to, women in horror. Like,
Women in Horror Month.
I don't think we have much time to play the clip here of Sadie Katz, but yeah, we have an interview with a friend of mine and Scream Queen, Sadie Katz, who did a movie recently called The Bill Murray Experience.
Yes.
It's not really a horror film, but it's always good to highlight women in the business, since it is often a male-dominated world.
Yeah, and she's been in a couple movies. She has a new one coming out that I think they just finished filming on. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that's sort of her genre, even though Sadie herself is not really a big horror fan, other than Scream and Twin Peaks, like she said.
She was very creeped out by us, like really. We were, because around this interview, it was the Screams, like 21st anniversary or something, and we were watching and getting so giddy watching the
I'm like,
and she was like, why are you guys okay with this slasher stuff? And she's the actress who's in like the horror. It was so cute.
She has to be terrified in these scenes, and then we're just like, yes, murder, guts, like me. I'm like, you
Got her
cannibals.
like a fish. Yes, that.
Yeah, like I'm a very sick individual, guys, but like they make TV for me, and that's why
Horror TV.
Yeah, exactly. And like, speaking of TV, I love, before we get into the happy news about that show, we did a poll on Twitter this week after the best Lucifer episode I've ever seen. I mean, if you ever wanted to see Satan and Superman play a gay couple in sweaters, guys, that exists. Now, please go watch it. It's on Hulu, even if you don't have it. I'll even give you guys a password or show you how to illegally download this, because I enjoyed this episode so much, because it gave me a ship that I finally care about, and that is Lucifer and Cain. And so I had to know, though, what you guys thought their ship name would be. I had Cainifer and Lucy Cain. And while it was a close number, at 48% we had Cainifer.
Yay!
Which is what I wanted, but Lucy Cain was 52. But I'm like,
you know what it is?
Yeah.
It sounds like candy cane. You guys gotta think outside the box, okay?
I know. I'm like, but
it should have been Canifer.
Yeah, Cainifer.
Like cannabis, something. I don't know.
Yeah, see, you're thinking like me now. Like the one that sounds
she's
like
rubbing
drugs.
off on me, y'all.
Yeah. But yeah, like I even tweeted Joe Henderson. I was like, dude, this was like the best episode of a show I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, it was so fun. And like, it's cute because like they actually sort of have this bond. And at the end, I really thought they were gonna actually kiss. And because like, so Cain is wanting to die, and Lucifer's trying to kill him, and then he's like, dude, I've been trying to kill myself since the Dark Ages. Like, come on. And, like, at the end, even kind of, like, it's like, fine, get the chainsaw. Like, I wanted them to kiss, but, you know, at least he whipped out the chainsaw, and they're playing, like, murdering him, even though he can't die.
Aww.
But, yeah.
That's romantic.
Yeah, it's a very sweet story, and I'm sorry, Lucy and Chloe shippers. Nope, it's Cain. That's his man. Because we all know Lucifer goes both ways.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he is saying, why put yourself in the box, right?
Yeah, exactly. And but speaking of things that should not be put in a box, Happy was renewed for season 2, which I'm really happy about. Like, because I have thoroughly enjoyed this show, and I knew I would just because Christopher Maloney is the star, and it's based off a Grant Morrison comic book. But that's what's so interesting about it getting a second season, because the book does not continue after this point.
No, it doesn't. It's a one shot. So
yeah,
I'm kind of wondering. I'm not caught up yet because I'm like on like the 3rd or 4th episode. So does it have more story to tell, you think?
Well, the thing is I feel like they are going to go in a direction with Nick Sachs and Happy, like, so I won't spoil too much, but yeah, it wraps up this story, and it was a Christmas story, so I'm kind of wondering if the second one, maybe they do, like, a different holiday, like, because that seems like a fun little central theme for this really sick, disturbing show. But so, like, Haley no longer will see Happy is what they've sort of cut out, so we're probably not going to have him as involved with the family stuff, and I think that may be where they're wanting to go, because even though, I mean, it has sort of a happy ending, I feel like he is seeing Happy still for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is more of going to be a different journey for Nick Sachs, and hopefully it's around another holiday, like something goofy, like Easter or...
Yeah. Yeah, something different, not Halloween or something like that.
Yeah, because Halloween's so obvious.
Because that's what I think you and I had talked about it, where we were wondering, because of the fact that it is a graphic novel, that's what it's based off of. I was wondering if they were going to do what they've been doing with the American Gods, where the American Gods on Stars, they haven't finished the book yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's really taking his time and going through every part of the book. So even this first season that recently finished hasn't gone through the whole book, so they got so much more to go, and they might stretch it out. But then I was wondering with Happy how they were going to, if they were going to finish it and then go to another, and that's, you know, and that's shaky territory too, because like with Fear of the Walking Dead and other shows, now you don't have the source material behind you anymore, which some people can, you know, feel like when you don't have the source material behind you, it starts to get a little weird. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Well, and lucky for Happy, it is weird anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, that, and two, like, you have a powerhouse in Patton Oswalt being behind the Happy character, and then, I mean, Christopher Maloney is up there with my favorite actors, and he just, honestly, no one else could have sold this role like he did. There was a lot of comments that it could have been very hokey if he wasn't in this. So this seems like something that it'll be interesting to see how they go. Like I say, I kind of want them to stick with the holiday theme, but don't really go like we say, like cheesy with Halloween or something. Sort of make it, because they could really go any direction with him and having this imaginary friend and being this, you know, sort of a PI. Like, and that's the beauty of it. And we all know Maloney's a good investigator. Maybe he investigated some sex crimes. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
He already did that on another show. It's over.
Yeah. Hey, the show's still on.
But he's not on it.
Yeah.
So. Unless he comes back, like we said last week, for the Vampire Squad show.
I know. It needs to be Cassidy and Stabler for the Vampire show.
He should do that. He should do both. Because Patton Oswalt, he does multiple shows.
Yeah,
so.
like that's the thing, is they're both very busy actors.
Yeah.
They're on everything, as they should be. I mean, but yeah, if you haven't caught up on Happy yet, I won't spill too much of it. But like, you know, we're happy it's getting a season 2.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
But yeah, it's a good show, and it's actually all on Syfy on demand right now.
You can get on Syfy on demand, because that's how I'm going to catch up, y'all.
Yeah, because Superstition as well is on Syfy on demand. Yeah, that's how I watched all of it, which is good. I think.
If only Castle Rock was on. No.
Yeah, if only Castle Rock. But as I say, I highly recommend Hulu.
Yes.
That's how I'm catching up on Smallville, but. Like, I'd never seen that show, and now Hulu has it.
Yes.
It's a thing, but that's not horror. But, you know, I'm watching Smallville because Tom Welling was on Lucifer.
So it all connects.
It all does. I can make this work. Well, I think that is it for our show. We got through all that news, and with time to spare. But, guys, since we're done for tonight, you guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. And be sure to watch us at our regular time slot, Sundays at 10 p.m. after this week. And my podcast, Mrs. Brightside, comes out Tuesday on iTunes and maybe anywhere else you can find your podcast. I'm working on that right now. And Chauncey, where can they keep up the conversation with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Miss Chauncey KR, and also every Tuesday on the Flash After Show on AfterBuzz TV.
All right, thank you guys so much.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Hashtag Canifer.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.